Bear with me. I want to get this intro right. The guest wrote it himself and slipped it to me. He is a cultural icon, beloved the world over for his work on stage and cinema. Please welcome America's sweetheart, Mike Rowe. Hot damn.
God, wow.
Modest.
From a sweetheart to a cultural icon. All right, I'll take it, man. Nice job.
But it's hard to be both. I really think you worded this well because you're showing the range of Mike Rowe.
It's hard to be both at the same time.
That's what I mean.
Right, but you have to know your audience. And from everything I've read, I think we can settle in for 12 minutes of America's sweetheart.
There it is. But yes, he's the multimedia switch hitter. Maybe some would say the Mickey Mantle of media, and that's based entirely on his alcohol consumption. I've never seen him throw a ball.
I was going to say the Cookie Rojas of codependency. There's a reference. One of the greatest utility players.
You dug deep. You want to tell a funny story? When I started here, I referenced utility players.
Yeah.
Okay. Guy who hired me on FBM was a guy named Gary Schreier. He said, what do you see your role as Fox? I said, I'm going to kind of be like a Jose Akendo.
Yeah.
Okay. Played for the Cardinals. He could play every position on the field. And he was like, Jose Akendo was a Met. And I was like, maybe, but I knew him as a Cardinal in the 80s, as a Cardinal. So he was a Met, and it was a very contentious point in the interview because, the guy's a Met guy. You don't have a lot to hang your hat on.
That's right.
Okay, you've won two things since the moon landing, which may or may not have happened at this point, but we'll get into that.
You beat the Orioles in '69,
there you go.
which I still carry around.
Well, we're going to get to the Orioles. There's a point to this. Okay, but on the day I started here at Fox, on my desk, which I have it to this day, was a Jose Akendo Met card. From 1985. The guy wanted to prove it meant that much to him.
And you still cling to it. You still have it.
Well, it's because if I'm ever in a pinch and I need 13 cents.
But see, the difference is that guy showed up and he could do virtually anything. You show up with a level of enthusiasm that, and I think I said this to you on my podcast when we first sat down to chat, a level of enthusiasm that borders between impressive and suspicious. And I really don't know how you maintain it, but every single time I've seen you, you're like, can you believe it? I'm back. I still have an office. I'm still, we're here. The building's still here. I'm still here.
If I have told you this, forgive me. Okay. I am a dog with a job. Have you ever gone to the airport and you see the dog sniffing the bags and he's so excited because he can't believe they're counting on him to save the plane?
I can't believe it.
Are you nuts? This is amazing.
I thought you were going with the Seinfeld beat with the dogs, right? All you have to do is come home and they see you. And they're like, there he is. He's done it again. I don't know where he went. I don't know what he did, but he's back, and it's amazing.
You've earned none of this praise. You've earned none of this praise. You just get through that door. There were serial killers greeted by dogs throughout the years who were like, this guy's amazing. Yeah. And he smells like food for some reason.
It's you again. I can't believe it, man. How does he do it?
Mike Rowe is here, the Cookie Rojas of media. So anyway, to get back to your Orioles, a guy who goes back and forth with me a lot on Twitter, Jim Palmer, legendary Hall of Fame pitcher.
No kidding.
And he's not a huge Fox guy, but he somehow stumbled across me and likes to take cheap shots at me and back and forth.
Sure.
And he ties it, he filters it through the lens of the Yankees. Like he wants to be talking to a Fox guy, but it's like the movie Ghost. He uses the Yankees as the Whoopi Goldberg he has to jump into to communicate with me. And we go back and forth. There's a lot of jokes about his underwear commercials and
so
stuff
let me
like
tell
that.
you, I got a couple Jim Palmer riffs.
Love it.
The first is he reached out to me early on in the Dirty Jobs days because his father-in-law has the most elaborate antique gun collection. Oh. And he really wanted to show these to me. So I told him, look, I'll put it on the list, but you got to know that my grandmother is walking around with just a serious amount of unrequited affection for you. And one day I got to get you two together.
Yeah.
He said, no problem. Flash forward. My grandmother at 90 falls and breaks her hip during an Orioles game. She's alone at my parents' condo. She's halfway between the den where the TV is and the kitchen where she was going to get herself a highball. So she's lying there with a busted hip. The phone's in the kitchen. She can drag herself to the phone to call 911 or drag herself back to the den to watch the end of the Orioles game.
Stop it.
She drags herself back to the den. My mother finds her lying there with a busted hip, writes an open letter to Peter DeAngelo's and puts it in the Sun paper. 3 months later, my grandmother throws out the first pitch at an Oriole game. And I take her up to the booth and introduce her to Jim Palmer, and he hugs her and kisses her on the mouth.
You stop it right now.
I swear. And Thelma Noble died and went to heaven. And that's my contribution to my family tree. Thank you, Jim Palmer.
Oh, that's an amazing Jim Palmer story, though.
Made the whole thing up.
But it's
no, it's true.
None of it was true.
It's true, my hand to God. And it's in my mom's first book. My mother Wrote every day for 60 years, Jimmy, and finally got a book published at 80.
Is that true?
Yeah, I swear to God, she's had 4 New York Times bestsellers since then, and that story's in her first book.
Peggy?
Peggy Rowe.
That matters.
Yeah.
I don't have the writer. I had a grandma who did that.
Yeah.
She ran 5 miles a day till she was 95. We can't find her. She's out there somewhere. Grandma Failla. She's out there somewhere.
She's still running. She's like Forrest Gump with the smiley face, just booking across the bridge.
We're talking to Mike Rowe. He now claims Earl Weaver was his biological father. This is a really confusing interview for me. If you guys can just help me muscle through.
I just love how you summed this up so far as an interview. That's hysterical. That's amazing.
All right, give me 2 minutes of press on your new project, People You Should Know. We discussed it on an award-winning show called Fox News Saturday Night this past weekend.
That was an amazing appearance. I'm still waiting through the comments that have completely lit up all the socials based on our witty repartee. The show in question is called People You Should Know. It airs exclusively on my YouTube channel. Why? Because, my God, our business is collapsing. And getting a show made today, it's a knife fight and a phone booth. And so what I did was I went back and I looked at a show called Returning the Favor that I did for Facebook once upon a time, a celebration of the neighbors you wish you had, right? And that show was viewed 450 million times. I won an Emmy for the damn thing.
Damn right you did.
You know, and Facebook canceled it. And nothing personal. They just decided they weren't going to compete with Netflix after all. But I had 2 million people watching this show.
That's
and
nuts.
For 3 years, they've been up my butt saying, when are we going to bring it back? So the show's back. It's called People You Should Know. And every episode, you know what? It's going to be called a feel-good show because it kind of is, but the truth is it's the making of a feel-good show.
Yeah.
So it's warts and all, right? It's all the mistakes. It's all the fun of getting this kind of thing off the ground. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll drink, you'll go to the next town with me and do it again.
And to be clear, it's Village People You Should Know. The hot cop is there. The chief is there.
Well, we only had the budget for one guy, but 5 costumes. So we're bullish. That's right.
He mixes it up a little bit. We're talking.
He's an Indian with a hard hat.
He does it all, this guy. You talking about range. We were talking about your range. You should see Larry, the one construction worker we have. I'm dying, Mike Rowe. I think it's funny. I also love that the village people got a bit of a rebirth. This is a thing. I don't have a political conversation, but I have a take on Trump, okay, when it comes to dancing. Donald Trump famously is a teetotaler. He does not drink.
Correct.
But he does the YMCA like someone who does, meaning the drunkest person you know can do the YMCA.
Interesting.
The fact that he just does the hands would usually be a tell to you that your buddy can't drive tonight.
That's right.
If your buddy's doing this to YMCA, he might even be puking by the end of the night. Isn't that fascinating?
Well, it's completely backwards.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. But look, the fact that he's out there doing that with seemingly out, it's just he's out of dams to give.
Yeah, that's what it is.
He just
that's a good
simply doesn't care.
You want to know that's a testament to? The fact that he invented a dance for a song that already has one. The song
beautiful.
has been the YMCA for 150 years, 75 years.
Right. So rather than commit to a fairly elaborate expression of 4 letters in our alphabet, I'm just going to move my hips a little.
Yeah.
And just do a little thing.
Yeah,
with
that's
the
what you
hands,
get.
And that's it.
This is what you get.
He simplified it for everyone, is what he did.
Yeah.
He made YMCA accessible.
He doged the YMCA. You just did for that one.
First,
Too many letters.
We're going to lose the vowels, then the consonants. All that's left are my hips.
They doged the YMCA. It's got too many letters. Who has time for that many letters?
I'd like to buy a vowel. We're out.
The inefficiency is gone, at least at a musical level, in the United States government, I think, is the takeaway from this interview.
I think we need more music in the government. I think we need more music in the cabinet.
I don't think they should be doing anything but. You know, it's in a weird way, everyone does so much press now at a government level,
right,
that their words have lost any and all meaning because we're only going to focus on them for as long as it takes to get the next statement out of them, which in this day and age is like 30 minutes.
I had a meeting last week with the Department of Education, me, Linda McMahon, and a room full of people. And it was a great meeting, went on for about an hour. We discussed make education great again. So MEGA, it's coming. But in the middle of the meeting, I confess, I thought what this meeting needs is an aria, a modest one.
Yeah.
but just something. Just we needed a musical interlude because there was just too much talking.
Fair.
Just not much. Just like salt. Just a little something to mix it up.
There's value in that reset. You know, because you get the back from break energy to the meeting.
Think about the movies that you used to see when you were a kid, like when the popcorn came out.
Yeah.
It's not much. It's just a little to clear the palate and let
it's atmospheric.
Exactly.
That was my biggest criticism of those ISIS beheading videos that they put on YouTube. I was like, you know what? You guys, you can't buy a royalty-free music bed?
Just a little something to set the stage. Dude, I don't know. Look, I'm constantly looking for where the line is.
No.
You found it.
Yeah. Well, all I will say, okay, about the depraved age we're living in is if something has views, it has advertising. And I'm so fascinated how there's this overlay between, like, I guess, distinguished products and the most depraved things man could ever witness now coexist simultaneously in an advertising space. And I don't think that's good commentary on society.
Well, look, there's going to be an eternal dance between entertainment/artistry versus the transactional realities of filthy lucre. But I know, like, with this show that I'm going to shamelessly plug again, people you should know, on my YouTube channel, I'm late to this party, and I ignored YouTube for years. Whatever. And so for the last 6 months, smart people sat me down and said, Mike, what you need to do is you need to get 1 million people on your YouTube page. So I did. But I hate to think like that.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to go out into the world going, what can I do today to do this thing?
Yeah.
But you know something? It's like at Disney. The sign says you must be this tall to get on the ride. And if you want to play this game today, you better understand that you work. I don't know who signs your checks, but you don't really work for Fox, dude. You work for the people who watch you.
Yeah.
And I know you know that.
Yeah.
But, that's a bitter lesson to learn. And it's a hard thing to really take to heart. But if you want to play, you better understand it. So, yeah.
No, that's spot on. And you're right to say that. I do work for the loan sharks from my taxi days who are watching right now and going, it's almost Thursday, payday.
Do taxis still work like that? Like back in the day, you would give them, what, $200-300 and you'd start your shift?
Yeah.
And then you'd
rent the cab for a shift.
Yes.
So in the heyday when the medallion was worth money, $1.1 million when I started, you'd rent a day shift for $1.8. You'd rent a night for like $136. Weekend was $154.
Yeah.
And it was basically yours for 12 hours.
Right.
Minus gas. That's your take-home pay. Two things decimated the value of the medallion. Bloomberg coming along, because there were a finite amount of them. There were about 11,000 of them. Bloomberg issued 10,000 new ones in the name of clean energy. They were called green taxis, with the premise being they were only going to pick up in the outer boroughs to lessen pollution in those neighborhoods. But of course, if you picked a guy up in Brooklyn and drove into Manhattan, you're going to pick up the next fare you see. You're not going to drive back to Brooklyn empty.
Of course.
So that kind of killed the medallion value. And then when Uber came along, basically created more drivers. It didn't increase the amount of passengers, just created more drivers and gigged out the gig.
What about the weather? I mean, last night, all of a sudden, it's pouring down raining. It's a 20-minute wait for an Uber. I didn't even try Lyft, and there's not a single light on any of the cabs. Like, when it's raining and you're driving a cab, is this like holiday for you?
Oh, yeah, everybody jumps in. But it's also a lot of short fares because it's just somebody doesn't want to go 8 blocks. You actually make a lot of money, though, because on turnover, because everybody gets in. You know what I'm saying? You get the $3.50 on the meter, the dollar surcharge, the fuel thing, that whole thing. And so the turnover is good if you keep moving short fare style like that. I just like that you've taken over this exchange and you're now interviewing me. That's the power of Mike Rowe.
Do you think that I often liken the 3 years I spent in the middle of the night from 1990 to 93 selling things on the QVC cable shopping channel? I bitched about that for a long time, and then I just erased it from my memory, and then I found a video that people had posted of me from those days, and then I kind of embraced it, and then I eventually realized that every worthwhile thing I learned about my career today, and how did I become America's sweetheart, Jimmy? How did I become a global icon? Every single thing that was useful I learned there. How much of your success today goes back to lessons learned in the cab?
Yeah, I would say like 99% of it.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, of course. The stuff that you learn at the absolute bottom, because a lot of it's human nature.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing you can pay attention to because you're not swimming in any other circles. You're on the outside of a lot of circles and you're deducing things in your observations.
This is why you're going to go as far as you want to go, man. You and I said this to you before. You either, there are two kinds of people. There are the kind of people that look at the lower rungs on the ladder with derision and a smirk, and they're the kind of people who go, I would never have gotten anywhere without that.
Yeah, you need that rung, man. And that's the thing. If someone calls you an overnight success, it just means you work the overnight shift for like 12 hours.
Or it means you're well rung.
Hey, Mike Rowe, he still got it. That's why he's American. You want to talk about people you should know? You should know Mike Rowe.
You should. To know me is to almost sort of maybe like me. Like Rowe on you.
Oh, fantastic. The radio cyst, Mike Rowe. It was nice to have you.
It's nice to be had, but I prefer carbuncle.
Yeah. Oh, you'll always be benign to me. There he goes. Back after this. There's this thing going on where everybody is trying to convince you, people who are much better off than you, that they're the victims. Pete Buttigieg installed the most insane regulations you've ever seen in the history of government and goes, well, you know, the problem for me is there's so many regulations, I couldn't get anything done. He passed the regulations. Jen Psaki, well, the Biden thing. No, they couldn't say cover up. I never witnessed a problem whatsoever. You scripted his interviews and his press conferences. Michelle Obama. Oh, it was hard. I couldn't afford anything in the White House. You're living in the most exclusive address in the world. You are in the White House. You understand? You are a symbol of achievement that should be inspiring us the world over. Hello, Ambassador Kennedy.
I humbly accept. Yeah, they wanted me to go and cover this from Vatican City.
It's crazy because
and I was like, you guys, I have a live hit with Jimmy on Thursday. I can't do that.
They wanted you there. They were like, Father Jonathan, you got to sit this one out. We're sending Kennedy.
Go warm the bench.
Thank you.
We're sending in the pros and the host.
And there it is. And we instead have you here in New York, and for that we are eternally grateful. I was miffed because I don't understand Latin. So when he was addressing the people, when he said the words Kennedy on Fox Across America in regular English, I was like, oh, that's who's coming up.
Yeah.
And thank you, Your Holiness, for the heads up. So you join us now at the behest of the new Pope. There's two things playing out in real time. People are like, wow, American Pope, never had American Pope.
Great, yeah, the pride of.
But in the world we now live in, okay, nothing can happen without everyone immediately diving into your social media if you have some. And of course, there are people uncovering tweets that we're being told are pretty woke.
So they have been doing that for days because Father Jonathan, 2 or 3 days ago, Father Jonathan has been in Rome, in Vatican City. He's not Father Jonathan anymore. He actually left the Catholic Church. He is a private citizen, a civilian now. He has a family, but he is a devoted Catholic. He's, just a wonderful father and family man, and that was his calling, which I totally respect. But he has a greater insight on the church than anyone I know, and great reverence and respect, obviously having been a Catholic priest for many years. And he said a couple days ago to keep an eye on him, that he thought that Robert Prevost, now Pope Leo XIV, had kind of skyrocketed as the dark horse to the front runner.
Wow.
And I was thinking, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's not going to be an American Pope because there have to be so many factions who to look at America and go, you guys have enough.
Yeah.
Like you have coast to coast beaches. You've got Shannon Brame and Kennedy.
Dairy Queen.
you have Dairy Queen.
Elvis.
You have GM. Yeah. You have Graceland.
I mean,
that's an embarrassment of riches.
You talk about an embarrassment of riches, but then to have a pope go out there and choose his name in honor of Leo Terrell, which is a nod to Hannity.
I didn't expect it,
but it's a nod to Hannity.
It really
and Leo
is.
Terrell.
That's
Pope
clearly
Leo,
what the Holy Father has been watching.
14th. It was, I would believe, it was down to Pope Sean or Pope Leo. And we arrived at Leo because it was a nod. It was outreach to the black community with Leo Terrell,
which I think is smart.
Now
it's what you have to do.
If you saw the ceremony, he's wearing a red hat that says Leo X14.0. Leo 2.0. We're having fun. We got an American Pope. Bill Hemmer is on the set of America Reports. You know what that means? When this show, at the end of this hour, okay, guys, if you want to know how TV and radio work, okay, I'll give you a little inside baseball.
I do. I've been working here for 13 years. I still have no idea.
The clock on this show nationally technically ends 4 minutes before the end of the hour. So you'd say 2:56 Eastern. What I am scheduled to do at 2:57 Eastern is be sitting on the set of America Reports. As you can tell, I'm dressed for live TV in this jacket if you're watching on Fox Nation.
We're proud of you, Jim, taking this whole task seriously, huh?
Thank you. But as you watch this play out in real time, we're sitting here watching the TV show I'm scheduled to be on, and you get the feeling from watching it, they're not about to bring me out to tell rim shot jokes, about whatever's going on in the world.
They might not. I mean, they might not have you do all of the papal color that you're capable of.
Clearly qualified to do.
A lot of people don't know that.
But they're going with this Bill Hemmer guy instead. I don't know what that's about.
I hope they put him at the Pope board.
Yeah.
So he can
he starts
bring
giving
up
you
some
counties
metrics.
of how they voted. And well, as you can see here.
The cardinal factions.
If you go back 2 conclaves, let's see how they voted back in 2012 with Francis.
Yeah, you see there's a 21% increase for a liberal.
Oh, that's really funny. Let's head over to the county of El Mafi. Now, as you'll see in 2012, they broke overwhelmingly. It's a lot of late votes came in for Francis and swung it his way. But it is Fox Cross America with Jimmy Failla. Kennedy's in studio. We're having a jovial reaction to the news that we have our first
How
American
do you think
Pope.
Chicago is going to react? So Pope Leo grew up in Chicago.
He did.
Went to Villanova.
Yep. Here on the East Coast.
For Villanova.
Yep. By and somehow wound up in Peru.
Yes.
So the Villanova job placement program, not what it once was. But it's a proud moment for everybody. I want Chicago to react peacefully. But if the Bulls winning a championship is any indication, now it's been a while.
Is this bigger than the Bulls' first championship?
I mean, in theory, it's globally much bigger. But in terms of the local market, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I
just want people to be happy. I want people to be excited. I want people to be excited about their faith and about the faith of others, even if you're not a Catholic, even if you don't share that.
Yeah.
Acknowledge that this is a pretty cool moment.
The first pope is from Chicago. His name is, he's chosen the name Pope Ditka. Him being from Chicago.
I asked your executive producer, Victor, what his first words were, and he said, "Go Bears."
Oh, that's amazing. His first words in Latin. Yeah. I love this. Kennedy's in the studio. We're having a joke. I'm writing a note for myself. What I would say in this moment is the Catholic Church has 1.4 billion members. So when you looked out at the crowd, it's interesting because we hear a lot of things about diversity, but it's not something I ever really look for. In my personal life, we look for diversity of thought, I think, more than anything.
Sure.
But if you were just looking for an aesthetically representative moment, it is that. It's every country in the world is on that square.
Yeah, and you saw flags from all over the world, from Germany and Puerto Rico, the United States, Brazil. There was a lot of representation from proud, excited Catholics who were quite relieved that the conclave took place during a nice weather month.
How about that? You get the good weather. You get a daytime finale, which is over here on the East Coast.
You get a Pope crawl.
You get and so that's what leads me to my next question. He will undoubtedly visit America.
Absolutely right.
Are we booked? Because this is the closest we get to being booked for actual Pope coverage.
Well, so you and I in what
2014.
year was it? 2014. We went on a Pope crawl because Pope Francis led Mass in Central Park, and you had to have a ticket. There was a lot of security. We weren't allowed access to Central Park. So we allowed ourselves access to several drinking establishments around Central Park to really celebrate and toast the papacy.
Thank you.
Which I thought was very decent and celebratory of us.
And we did that. But unbeknownst to me, your brother, who might have been working or doing something affiliated with a professional knife company at the time. It was our first time meeting, but him being a friend from afar, he decided on the Pope crawl to gift me a weapon, which is not the thing to have with you when there's Secret Service and guards and guns and mounted cops and everything like that. And I honestly don't know where it is. It might have been left at a bar. It might have been left in your old apartment. I don't know.
At Malachi's.
It's in the Hudson by now.
Maybe they've been using it to open bottles of Jägermeister.
You don't know. But right now, Robert Barron, who is the bishop of the Winona Rochester diocese.
Named after Winona Ryder.
Of course.
90s, very, very important to
Now, are you telling
faithful.
me there's any world where this cardinal is going off the air and they're bringing on Jimmy? None. Can I officially... Is it safe to assume we've been bumped from America reports?
Yeah, so it's, in real time. It's 2:14 our time here on the East Coast. You are scheduled to go on in about 42 minutes. I kind of don't think they're just going to blow through their Pope coverage.
Jimmy's got some dementia jokes about Joe Biden. We should get this cardinal out of here. That's funny. But me and Kennedy are just talking about it because we got an American Pope. It's a good moment.
I didn't think I would see this in my lifetime. Now,
Ever.
I am a member of the Eastern Orthodox Church, but we also recite the Nicene Creed, which is, I believe in one holy Catholic Apostolic Church.
Yep.
And so in the Orthodox faith, we don't see the power of the church concentrated in one person because it is a more democratic church. Therefore, in the Orthodox faith, the Pope is seen as the holy Archbishop of Rome.
Okay. Makes sense.
He's acknowledged and high-fived. And the Catholic Church allows Orthodox Christians to take communion in their church, which is quite lovely. And I have done that several times. Emily Campagno and I, when we go on vacation, we try and find a Catholic Mass, and we have taken communion in other countries.
Now, to be clear, you're doing that for the wine, but let's...
When I say communion, I mean that we each have a bottle of wine at dinner. We think good thoughts.
Listen, I've hung out with you and Emily. As far as you're concerned, the Pope is Papa John at 2 a.m. And they deliver those breadsticks, the cheese in them. I know how you chicks roll.
Delicious.
Well, we are talking about, of course, the new Pope, and it's a nice moment for the world, and it's a nice time out from politics and the food fight that has become. And you can only hope the Pope will lead us towards a path of healing as it pertains to those divides.
If you don't have a Pope, you don't have hope.
Yeah, thank you. And as the old adage goes, poping ain't easy. You wish this guy all the luck in the world.
You really do. I certainly do.
It's like you host a podcast called Kennedy Saves the World, but now you're getting backup.
Yeah.
You're getting backup at the Vatican, and that's a big deal.
Hopefully when I go over there, he and I can high five and, share a few laughs.
High five, that whole thing. Do you know Pope Francis, in addition to almost being arrested while he was visiting New York City, when Jenny and I visited the Vatican, he did that thing he does on a Sunday where he comes out and blesses you from the balcony.
That's great.
So I have a great video of him coming out onto the balcony.
Wonderful.
And I legitimately got like a bayonet in my ribs from the Swiss Guard because I was where I wasn't supposed to be, on the wrong side of a rope, like I was Frank Drebin in The Naked Gun. And he didn't stab me. He just politely got my attention and was like, "Dad!"
Hey.
Yeah, yelled something. And then I had to walk over to the other area.
Andiamo, let's go. Come on.
And it's so funny.
While we're young.
Today, Junior. Because we got an American Pope now. So we're going to get some, things are going to change over there now. I love that.
You're going to send some Chicago mooks?
Yeah, a couple of mooks from the old neighborhood are going to go over there. Yeah, now...
You don't listen to Pope Leo, you're going to have some problems.
From now on, nobody confesses. They're like, "Are you wearing a wire, Father?" That's the only problem now. We got an American Pope from Chicago.
Oh, that's great. Guess what, Jimmy? He's on a mission from God.
Yeah, there's going to be 2 collections, one for the poor, one for your own good. Pay up. That's going to shake people down.
You want your flower shop to be there in the morning?
USA! Great stuff. Let's go save the world on your podcast this
Thanks,
Monday,
Jim.
shall we?
Doing it.
The Great Kennedy, back after this.